Greetings to everyone and welcome back to the short-term course on soft skills, emotional intelligence and effective classroom management. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the second day of this course. To invite our resource person, we have Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Parasuraman from Malaysia University, Kelantan, and he is a member of the International Honor Societies of the International Employment and Labor Relations Association. In 2009, he received the Global HRD Award from the World HRD Advisory Council. In 2004, he was adjudged as an outstanding PhD research at University of Wollongong, Australia. He has published more than 200 papers in referred journals and technical research reports. The first speaker for today is Dr. Jayaraj Vijayakumaran, who is from the Global Entrepreneurship Research and Innovation from University Malaysia, Kelantan, Malaysia. It would be my pleasure to invite Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Parasuraman to give us more information about our resource person today. And we are also happy to have some of the students of Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Parasuraman among us and welcoming you all to this gathering.
Okay, thank you, Japlet, MC for today. First of all, I'd like to thanks to Dr. Frank, who is the president of the Lavender Literature Club of India, and also Camp Comrade, Dr. Regina, also as one of the NGO. So this is actually collaboration, international virtual workshop for short courses organized by JSS College of Arts and Commerce and Science under the University of Mysore, and also organized by Malaysian Industrial Relations and HR, which is I am the founding president, and also organized by Camp Comrade and Lavender Literature Club. All right, I think before we start, I just want to mention, actually just now I got class, human resource management class. So I got 110 students. So what I do now, we said, let's we fly to India. Immediately they're flying, within 3 minutes, they're coming and check in, because today our honorable lecturer from my colleagues also from University of Malaysia, Kelantan, Dr. Jaya. So Dr. Jaya, I know him very well. He's a very young scholar. And I think I was mentor, Dr. Jaya, mentoring them, all of the young scholars, to be future professors. And Dr. Jaya is a very humble person. He's a top scientist, as we know that. Very humble person. I always proud to say that Dr. Jaya currently is a Global Entrepreneurship Research and Center, GARIC, they call it. He was one research fellow. Apart from that, I think Doctor is one of the scientists, and he published a lot of journal, I Impact Journal in H-Index. And I think apart from that, I think he got a PhD in Mammalogy from University of Science Malaysia, and Master of Science from University Sarawak, I think, and also it's a degree, also from University of Malaysia Sarawak, which is East Coast. And I think he wrote a lot of papers here. I think he got a lot of research grant. I think, in fact, me and Dr. Raj working on one project, employability, for the graduate employability for science and non-science students. So that's how I know him. And I think he humbly accepted to come and present the paper. Although he got a very, what they call a tight schedule. Most of the time he's in the jungle. Dr. Raj always on the move. But I want to like to tell all the young students here, Dr. Jaya is bikers, spring bikers, sport bikers. So you want to know about him, let's come back to University of Malaysia Kelantan, Jelly campus. And Dr. Raj, he like to go outside, enjoy the life. And I want to know his racing. He got a big motorbike. I think 500cc, I'm not sure of that. Why I say this, as a lecturer, he's not just a lecturer, but he also involved in other activities. And Dr. Jaya also working with me on the Bursa Saham Club in Delhi. So as I say, we got 3 campuses. I'm the town, city campus near Kota Baru. He's about 3 hours from another campus, basically agriculture and earth science. So without delay, I would like to invite Dr. Jaya. Just Dr. Jaya, we will be for a while only, because my class is start. We go back again to Malaysia and check in that hotel. We start again. So this is a world, And 120 students, all the young students are young, vibrant, and they all really, you see, they are the future leaders. Not only India, I'm actually bringing them to all over the world. And this is something that very nice to have them here. And I hope all my students, mixed race, we got Malay, we got Indian, we got Chinese, you can see everywhere. This is the richest that we Malaysia have. So again, I would like to thanks to Dr. Ganesan. Don't forget, Dr. Ganesan is our president for this conference.
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
So I never forget him. I'm here because of him. I'm here also because of Dr. Frank, Dr. Rajan, all our friends from India, participants from India. I really admire all of you. You all are great scholars. We are a big family. We are friends. Regardless, whatever language we speak, we are in the one big family. That's why we call citizen of the world, right? So with that, I think I would like to invite Dr. Jaya to present your wonderful talk for this evening. Okay, Dr. Jaya, I pass to you.
Thank you, Prof. Bala. Essentially, a very lengthy introduction. So essentially, I'm a very simple person. I just do the work that's been assigned to me and do to my best. So that's how you want to be excellent. You have to do your best and treat it as the last day of your work. That means you do as much as possible. So for this talk, actually, I was asked to give about talk about how to conduct a good research presentation. So let me look at my slide first. Okay. So I will start the presentation. Now I'm actually very happy. This is a very big crowd, 137 people. So very cool as we have so much of members here. Hopefully I'll do my best lah. Okay. And I'm very thankful to everybody, Dr. Frank and all the organizing committee who was very willing to invite me to this talk. So okay, let's see. Okay. So they have given me a lengthy introduction about myself, but actually I can give you some more information. So I'm actually one of the associate in Academy Science of Malaysia. This is the leading think tank for any matters related to science and technology of the country. So besides that, I'm also globally, I'm actually in the IUCN Species Survival Commission, especially in the small mammal specialist group. So these are the people that actually work on the conservation of small mammals globally. I also have other affiliations. For example, because I'm of my work in publications, research publications, I'm actually editors in a journal of sustainable science and management. We do welcome people to submit their articles. We have quite a number of articles from India. I think for the past 2 years, hopefully we can increase that. I was the president of Society for Conservation Biology Malaysia chapter. I'm the scientific advisor for Malayan Rainforestation, and I'm also a fellow in this NGO called Species, which is a US-based NGO working on conservation of carnivores. So you can see I work with a lot of people. So it's over the years that you gain skills on when we meet people, we gain more skills, we learn from each other. So today I'm actually sharing some of the skills that I have on research presentation. So what are you going to learn today? Basically, you are going to look at what are the types of research presentations that are available, what are the contents for slide preparation, and tips for successful presentation. Now, the other thing that is very important is how to time yourself in the presentation. I think many people actually fail to look at this important factor. And then for younger, the less experienced presenters, I think this is one of the key elements of mental preparation is important for you. And technical support, that is also part of the things that you need to know. You also need to know your audience, and you will see also why practice makes perfect. Okay, and at the end of your presentation, there's always a session on question and answers. So how are you going to tackle that session? I will give you some tips also. And when things go wrong, this one is the thing that you expect a smooth presentation, but somehow it does not happen. What do you do? Okay. So let's start out with types of research presentation lah. So a research presentation is a presentation specifically you do to share research findings. It can be for, these are the list you can, there are different types of research presentation. You have a proposal presentation. In Malaysia, if you're a Bachelor of Science when you're a candidate doing a degree in Bachelor in Science, normally you will have a final project presentation, and this starts off with the proposal presentation first. So it will be around 10 minutes of presentation followed by another 5 minutes of question and answer. But if you're doing a master's, it can be longer. If you're a PhD, it can be up to 30 minutes of presentation. So it really much depend on what level of work they are doing. And many of us are actually involved in conference presentation. This normally spans from 10 to 20 minutes. If you have done your research, you're going to submit for your thesis, that will, your bachelor or viva thesis examination may be from 2 hours to 3 days. I've heard of people having viva for 3 days. If you are in the Netherlands, like viva in the Netherlands, it can reach up to 3 days. My friend's US thesis examination was 2 days. So this is normal. This is normal. Okay. And then if you are a researcher and you have grants, some grants requires you to present your progress report. So that can span from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Now, if you are a researcher who have discovered something new and you're trying to make some money out of it, or you're trying to get investors to give you some money to do more work, then you can do a pitching session to the investors. So, but normally this one, they only want to hear from you around 3 to 15 minutes. Most of the time it's 3 to 5 minutes, very short. So you can see different types of presentation have different types of timing. So to the public, normally 10 minutes. It can go longer, but most of the time it's 10 minutes. So you can see different types of length of presentation having different purposes. So meaning there are different levels of details that you need to present. So if you look at the content of a presentation, if it's a scientific research presentation, these are the common contents that you will have. You have your front page slide, you have your introduction, then you will present your research question, and from there you are going to talk about the objective of your research and how you're going to approach, what is the methodological approach. Then further on, you go to your research findings, you go to discussion, your conclusion, you have your recommendation, acknowledgement, reference. Sometimes you add some appendices. So at the end, if you just take each slide, each topic, you put one slide to it, you will have around at least 12 slides. Okay, so essentially, you would know that, if the presentation is short, then you need to reduce. Some you need to maintain the content, some you need to reduce. So if you take a minute each to present for each slide, what it means is you're going to have at least 12 minutes of time span for your presentation. Okay, so sometimes you can adjust. Okay, you adjust the timing. So in general, you can adjust up to like 20 minutes, 43 minutes. You can see here also, even 15 minutes. It depends on your planning. Okay. Sometimes you also combine. You can look here. We look at that those that are half slides here actually are indicating combination. So sometimes you can combine research questions with objective together in a single slide, so that you can show, okay, because right after you present your research question, then you say, okay, this is the objective that we are going to achieve based on the research question. So then let's talk about some tips how we're going to prepare the slides. I wouldn't go in detail because there are actually many guides to presentation slide preparation, and many guides online. So I will give you some basic tips. Okay. So if you look at your front page, okay, normally front page only one slide. Okay, you have your title, you have the research, you have the title of the research, and then you have the author, and then you have the affiliation. But what people normally don't see is that actually your first page of your slide, okay, the front page slide is actually, you can use it to preview the introduction, meaning you can talk, you can describe something about your presentation first before you go to the introduction slide. Like for my slide here, you look at this photo here on top here. This is my PhD. Actually, it's my PhD presentation slide. So you look at this photo. I actually describe the animal. This is a tree shrew. Okay, it's found in Southeast Asia, and a small mammal that is widely distributed in many areas, forested areas, right up to gardens and homes. Okay, so then I go to the introduction. I talk about the animal itself. Okay, what is the taxonomy? I describe the behavior of the animal. For example, you see here, this is a tree shrew. It's actually defecating in this plant here. So this plant is a pitcher plant. Okay, so pitcher plant collect insects or nitrogen-based material for it to use as nutrient. So what you are seeing here is a natural toilet that exists in the forest. So this photo is captured in Borneo. Okay, so now you see the design of the plant itself. Okay, being like a toilet. So the animal takes the opportunity to defecate inside, and while defecating, it will lap some nectar here. There's nectar on this leaf here. Okay, so in your introduction, you describe very all the essential information. It can be up to 3 slides. Okay, and most of the time, you actually try to prepare the audience to the next section, which is going to be your research question objective. Okay, so when I say these 3 slides, I was talking about, there's another slide. Actually, this is the introduction. There's another slide. We talk about the history of the animal itself. Okay, how much changes in names that happen over the years. So then we go to the research question. Is there a timeline for a diversification of evolution of these tree shrews? So is there anything new to be found? Okay, so from there, the objective is actually to remap the diversification of the tree shrews. So basically, what I ask in the research question, what I try to answer in the objective. Okay, so basically, research question, you describe the research question that you want to study and aim to answer, and then the objective is the research outcome that you want to target. Okay, to answer the research question. Okay, so in my own personal practice, normally I combine them both, because once you describe the research question, you can directly tell them what's the objective of the study. And then you have the methodology, which is actually you describe the experimental design, you describe the field or laboratory experiment. In social science, normally you describe how your data is collected, how did you determine your sample size, all these kind of things you need to describe very detailed in your methodology section. And then further on, you will describe the data analysis. So sometimes they separate methodology with data analysis, which is not wrong. It's no issue. You can separate both sections. Okay, and if you were to describe the data analysis, you must remember, if there is a statistical approach, you must include any statistical confidence test you must mention inside your data analysis section. So and then you have your research findings, where you report the research outcome based on the data that you collected. Okay, at the same time also, besides reporting the research outcome, you need to highlight the major and minor research findings. Okay, so why you need to highlight? They actually give you a preview of what's to come, which is what you're going to describe in the discussion. So in the discussion, you outline the interpretation of the research findings. From there, you look at the significance of the research finding. You mention the significance. Okay. In some instances, both research finding and discussion are combined to assist with the flow of the presentation, because certain research work is actually very lengthy. There's a lot of findings to describe. So to actually make things easy, they describe one finding and then they talk about the significance of that finding. Okay, so there is research findings, research results and discussion combined together. So for like my work, I actually mapped out, when the animals evolved. So from there, it happened around 4 million years ago. So meaning this animal, okay, the evolution of this animal happened 4 million years ago. So we mapped out during that time and we described what happened during that time. The animal, how it moved from Borneo to Peninsular Malaysia, or from Peninsular Malaysia to Borneo. So this is all based on whatever evidence that is available. Okay, and then from there you go to the conclusion and recommendation section where you summarize your findings. You state again the significance of the findings, and if you have new research direction, for example, this finding may lead to another research question. You can state that research question. So you are highlighting new research direction. So this will actually help other people who are sitting inside the hall viewing your presentation to learn new things and also find their own research questions to work on. Okay, so this is how when you work in science, you must be able to share knowledge and direct people to actually go to search for new knowledge. Okay, so that's why science is always evolving. A textbook that you find 10 years ago will have some differences when you compare it to the current textbook. Okay, and then you will have your acknowledgement section where you show your appreciation to relevant people, organization, government departments and funders. If you have a grant, okay, the research is being funded by grant. Like for example here, my PhD research was funded by 1, 2, 3 grants. Okay, 3 grants. So I need to state that acknowledgement of these grants. Why? Because this is appreciation to your funders, and also your funders also need to keep track record of what are the achievements of each grant that they award. Okay. Finally, you can list out the reference that you use in your presentation or research. So normally you put a list there, okay, so that at least whoever who gets a copy of your slide presentation can refer, search these papers. So in general, if you want to do a successful presentation, these are the basic tips. You must dress appropriately, because if you don't dress appropriately, people will be distracted. Okay, and you want people to be focused on your presentation and not distracted by something else. Okay. The other thing that a lot of people may not realize is actually being to the presentation hall or the room earlier. Why being in the room earlier helps? Actually, when you are moving, okay, you take an example. You're walking across the hall, okay? Maybe you park your car, you walk 10 to 20 minutes, or maybe we say 5 minutes. You walk 5 minutes through the hall where you're going to present your work. When you're walking, you actually increase your heart rate. Okay, because the walk itself, okay, is a form of exercise. By the time when you reach your hall, your heart rate is already elevated. So you may have nervous, you feel nervous. So when you reach early, you have time to actually calm yourself down. When you calm yourself down, you lower your heart rate to a more calm manner. When you do your presentation, you won't have this. You will have lesser lesser pressure, lesser tension. Okay. So it also helps when you are going to start your presentation. You start the time that you are comfortable. Meaning, once you're calm, then you start your presentation. If you are in the nervous mood, then it will not help actually. So the good thing is actually, that's why I say you reach to the hall earlier, okay, at least 5 to 10 minutes early, which is the best time, 5 to 10 minutes. If you sometimes you reach too early, then you may, when you look at the interaction, the number of audience, you may get flustered. But reaching 10 to 5 minutes early is a good timing. Okay, so you start your presentation when you're ready, and then you have to speak clearly. You have to look at the audience. For example, like us, we have 100 over members, and I observe that there is young students. There's also people who are a bit senior. So you have to pace your presentation. You have to speak clearly. You have to pace your presentation in such a way that people can catch word by word. If you're rushing towards it, then it may not help, because at the end of the day, you're spending 10 to 15 minutes or more trying to explain your research to the audience. So that time is actually very precious. So every second, every minute that you spend is precious to actually deliver the knowledge. So it's better to actually speak clearly at a very acceptable pace. Okay? You use your microphone correctly. Previously, if you look at the common behavior of people, testing their microphone, they like to take their microphone, they like to knock. And then, this knocking sound will be audible to the whole hall. You actually don't have to do that. You take your mic, okay? You take your mic, you just use your finger, you scrape. You can hear a scraping sound because of the speakers. You scrape a bit, you can hear. That means your mic is working. Sometimes you don't actually need to do so, because there's another presenter before you already. So why would you want to test the mic when you should be focusing on your presentation? But it's good to actually move your mic closer a bit, okay? And say speak 1, 2, 3. If you observe your mic, the voice that comes out from the speaker is too slow, move your mic closer, okay? If it's too loud, then you move your mic further a bit. Okay, this helps to actually have a more clear presentation lah. Okay. If you have a lot of graphs or charts in your presentation, normally you describe the charts first before you present the point. Okay. And it's also helpful every time before you change to the next slide. You have a preview of what you are going to say in the next slide. So this only can happen if you are practicing or you prepare the slide on the spot. Okay. In your slide, there are several unknown rules, actually, basic rules that you normally use to actually make your slide more readable. Okay, although you want the focus to be you, okay, when you do presentation, you want the focus to be you, but the slides, if it's more readable, actually helps the audience. It actually helps the audience to focus on your presentation. Okay, so normally you try to use sans serif fonts and you avoid serif fonts because it's easier to read using sans serif fonts. If you want to highlight certain words, you can bold the words. But remember, if you bold the words, you must check the font and font size so that it's not too big. It's acceptable size. Do not write a sentence using capital letters. Actually, capital letters, if you write a sentence using capital letters, it's actually hard to read. The brain spends more time interpreting each words when you write it in capital letters. Okay, but you can put capital letters for acronyms. Example, USA here, DNA. So this helps to actually shorten certain words. If not, you have to read out United States of America, whereas everybody knows USA is actually United States of America. And then it's good to have space in your slides. You don't want it to be too too tight, too tight from one content to another. What about the content itself? what are the tips for a successful presentation with the contents of the slide? You have to transition your slide in such a way that it must start off with the general information. For example, here just now Prof. Bala was talking about me, loving my hobby. My hobby is actually riding fast motorcycles. So here is actually one of the best motorcycle currently we have in the market. This is a Ducati V4 bike. So it's a V4 engine bike. Okay, so you describe this bike. If you want to describe this bike, okay, first of course you will say this is a motorcycle, and then you will say gradually you give more information about your content. So like for example here, you say okay, this is a motorcycle. You give more details. A motorcycle has an engine. It has 2 wheels. Okay, that's the basics of being a motorcycle. It must have 2 wheels. Okay, anything more than that is not a motorcycle already. It's a tricycle. Okay, anything more than three wheels, you have a car. Okay, so and then a motorcycle must have a brake system and a suspension system. Okay, and then you go more detailed. Okay, you can go to a more detailed manner. For example, in all the top performing motorcycles, they always have this all-in suspension. Okay, this all-in suspension is the top class in terms of suspension for high performance motorcycles. So you're moving from a basic description of a motorcycle. Okay, you talk about you name this is a motorcycle, and then you go to a more detailed description. Okay, having an engine, having tires, okay, and having a brake system and suspension system, and then you talk about the suspension system. So essentially, you're moving from one detail to a more detailed manner. Similarly, in all your slides, your introduction slides, you start off with this same formula. Even at your research outcome, also you do it in such a way so that people don't get lost. If you describe the important details first, then people would not pay attention to the basic information. But how do we start a presentation? There is a link of a video here. The video is around 5 minutes. I think I will share the video later. Okay. The best way to actually start off a presentation by not stating the title of your work and everything. Basic. Normally they will say, "Oh, hi, I am Dr. Raj. This is my presentation for today." Actually, you don't have to do that. You can talk about the work itself. Okay, you can talk about the work itself, like how I started off my presentation. I talk about myself. I talk about the work I'm doing. So then it gives the audience, a preview of what's to come, and makes the audience comfortable with you. Okay. This is another tip that I think maybe the veterans may not may realize this, but the younger students here, may not realize the importance of font size, color, and type. Okay, you can see based on the size, okay, the bigger the size, of course, is better, but you must balance between the font size and the color, okay, and the font size and the size of your slide. Yes.
Dr. Jaya, 1 minute,
Yes.
just 1 minute. Okay, good night and thank you very much. All of you will fly back to Malaysia. We have to continue our class. Dr. Jaya, thank you very much. We'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.
Sure.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So we look at the font size. It's actually important. If you have a font size that's too large, you don't have much space to put your content. But if it's too small, it becomes hard to read. Okay, so normally an average size of 24, font size 24 is around this size is okay. So and then you look at the contrast of your background and the color of your font. You can see the sharper the contrast between the background and the words is better. But it's always not not advisable to actually use red color, because red color tends to be, uh, the tone of the color is not pleasing to the eye. So most of the time I tend to use black with the black background. So another thing is, you look at the contrast between yellow and green, which is not very well different. So hence, it's better not to use this combination of colors. So from here you can see really what are the combinations
Swan
of
Lona?
uh, so it's better to actually look at the, you can compare, okay, you can compare, okay, for example, here black and orange is a good contrast. So you can use this as a background and the words as the, but if you take orange as the background, as the letter with a black background, it's also okay. So as long as the contrast is good. Now you look at the font type. So different font types have different types of shapes and sizes. Okay, so this will actually what we say affect the attention of your presentation. That's why in the earlier stage of the presentation today, I actually suggested using sans serif and not serif because it actually helps with the readability. If you were to put figures or photos, make sure your figures and photos are sharp and clear with good contrast between background. When you look at it, this is the white background, and you can see how sharp the photo is how sharp the photo is. You can make in a bigger size or smaller size photo, no issue, but a sharp photo will always help. For example, you look at this bird here, very sharp. You can see the shapes and patterns of the feathers. Okay, although the background is not very high contrast, but the sharp photo will actually help with the distinction. Even when you, and then you look at this cheetah, it's the photo is not very sharp because when the camera was snapping this animal, it shook a bit, so you can see it's not very good. The contrast and the sharpness. So if you are a person that is good in using Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, you will know that a sharper photo will always make a big difference. So you can do photo changes. You can edit the photos if you have that capability. But most of the time, you would always start off with a sharp photo. For graphs, make sure you label them correctly with the title, legend, and contrasting colors. All graphs must be self-explanatory. So for example, we look at here on the top here, dog in the service of humans. We know, okay, what are their service. Okay, so for example, here visitor 33%. It's a police dog. 14% of the dogs are used as police dogs. Okay, so the other example we will look at here. You have your child's age and the weight of female child by age. So you can see the changes in the weight okay, by the age. So make sure your graph is self-explanatory, meaning when they look at the chart, they know what it means, what it's trying to explain. You can further explain, but the chart itself must be self-explanatory. Oh, why must it be self-explanatory? Some of the audience, maybe you expect all your audience to pay attention to your presentation, but they may occasionally maybe a phone call, they receive a phone call, and then they missed out on your explanation. Looking at the graph, looking at the chart will actually help them. So if your chart is self-explanatory, they look at it, they understand what's happening. This is, I think, one key important topic for many of people who want to learn about effective presentation. How to time yourself. Many researchers, scientists, even experienced people tend to have poor timekeeping. sometimes it's due to the fact that they want to show they are enthusiastic to show all their research finding. But in a scientific in an open forum, that may not be possible. So you must time yourself. Okay, you must time yourself. So poor timekeeping is a bane, is a problem for many scientists, many people, presenters. So the general rule of thumb, if you have one slide, okay, it equals to 1 minute. So if I'm presenting one slide, I should talk at least a minute for each slide. It can be lesser, okay, you can spend less time presenting for each slide. But if you, in general, if you have a 10-minute presentation and if your slide is 20 slides, most of the audience would know you won't have enough time to present everything. So if you have a 10-minute presentation, you should have at most 10 to 12 slides, not more than that. So it helps, okay, to time your presentation. So the number of slides is actually a guide for you to actually time your presentation, okay? So why you need to time yourself? Because it means that you planned for your talk. It ensures that only relevant information are delivered. The other one is mental preparation. I think this is most important topic for young presenters. I still remember the first time when I started doing my first public presentation in a scientific conference. I was nervous, but I was given good tips by my mentor. He asked me to rest well, but resting is actually important. How much time you spend for your preparation? Okay, if you prepare your slides for 10 hours, meaning you should at least have 10 hours worth of rest. Okay, so meaning it's not a sprint. When you're preparing your presentation, it's not a sprint, it's not a 100-meter dash. You need to finish everything in a short while. You need to spend time for it. Meaning if you spend 10 hours, that means you have interval of rest between them. Okay, so how much time you spend for your presentation is how much time you is going to be equal with the amount of rest that you should have. So why rest is important? It actually helps you process the information when you are actually preparing your slides. The slide preparation itself is already a mental preparation. Okay, so having equal rest actually helps for you to digest the information. The other thing that you really need to take note is your water intake. The more nervous you are, you tend to drink more water. And when you tend to drink more water, you tend to want to have the need to go to toilet, and that makes you more nervous. So you need to control your water intake. Okay. The other thing is your attire. Since we were talking about the subject of your attire, if you are dressed up in a full formal setting, I mean you have a coat and tie, you tend to get warm. So it's good to actually stay cool. That means be in an area in the room where the air conditioning is sufficient to cool your body down, okay, and control your body temperature. Because if you get warm, you get flustered, and your heart rate increases. As I said, your heart rate increase, that means you get more nervous. Okay, but being in a condition when it's too cold also does not help, because you tend to want to go to the toilet. So you need to find a balance. Okay, you need to find a balance. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize is food. When you get nervous, you tend to skip meals. So, but that does not help, because when you are low in sugar, okay, your brain does not function to the best it can. So meaning you must have some food in your body. But if you take too much of food, the digestion process will actually lower the oxygen level that reaches to your brain. Not very significant, but enough to make you feel sleepy. So there's always a balance. So meaning, if you want to drink water, you have to control your water intake. You must have enough rest. You must stay in a cooler temperature, not too warm, not too cold. So you can see balance is a very important factor in mental preparation. technical support. Many people don't realize that there are always technical support around you all the time. Okay, so this is where you can seek help. Okay, so for access to technology, you need to know, you should know how to use technology. If this is the first time you're using an Apple computer, the layout is different. Hence, it's good to actually spend some time understanding the technology itself. You are using a laser pointer, at least you should know what's the button for the laser pointer, what's the button to move forward with the slide, and what's the button to move back to the slide. So this helps you with your presentation. So familiarizing with the laptop, because different laptop, different platform having different layout, familiarizing with the pointers. Sometimes you can use a sketchpad, online sketchpad. If you're presenting online nowadays, like now what I'm doing, you can actually have a sketchpad. So you can actually test out this first before you start your work. I've actually give a preview of microphone testing, how you test your microphone. So it's actually very simple. Try not to knock on the microphone because it's actually not comfortable to the audience. Rather, you do a small touch to hear the sound, or you move your mic closer or further. You can say testing 1, 2, 3. It helps, to gauge how loud it is in the hall. And never worry, there's always technical support beside you. Mr. John or Mr. Brian or somebody will be around you to actually help you if there is an issue. Okay, so your job is to do the presentation. Other things, let the expert handle it. Okay, so the tech support is the expert in managing the technological usage. Okay, now how much do you teach? How much do you share? It really much depends on your audience. Okay, if you are talking to scientists, then you must be very detailed in your explanation, because scientists are people who are very detailed. If you are talking to investors, then you should know that investors, they want to know some details, but they are more interested in the how much money they are going to spend to invest in your company, and how much is the return of investment, and how much time, okay, for the return of investment. Entrepreneurs also have a similar mindset. So, and venture capitalists, they talk about money, and then what is the benefit of your work. Okay, so if you're talking to students, then the students, what kind of students we are talking to? Are they scientist-based students? Are they social scientists? So these all are very important. You must know your audience. If it's a public, you need to tone down the what we say, the scientific facts, but rather share facts that jive with them, that connects with them. For example, I was talking about the tree shrew just now. This tree shrew is actually one of the important insect control agent near your house. So essentially, what it does, early in the morning, it will go and hunt for some butterflies or some worms, or moths, or caterpillars. So you describe things that can connect to the public. Okay, so you have different audience with different level of knowledge on subject matter. So because of this, you will need to tune your presentation, okay, towards to the level of the audience. But never ever underestimate your audience. Some of them are also probably highly knowledgeable in certain subjects. Okay, so but how do you know your audience? One easiest way is to actually look at the brochure of the conference. Okay, if like today, this is our presentation, right? So the brochure states that you guys are actually essentially students. So my presentation is tuned towards students. Okay, so if your conference is consists of many scientists, then of course you need to give details, more details than as usual, because that's the audience. If you are in a forum, and you're unsure who you are dealing with, one way is to actually, know a few people while you are discussing. When you reach early, you know a few people, you chat with them, you learn about them from their social media, such as LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can actually practically know all the professional people normally have a LinkedIn account. So if you met someone, you met Prof Bala, so you want to know about Prof Bala, you go to LinkedIn, you find Prof Bala, you search Professor Bala Krishnan, okay, Parasuraman. So you search his name, you will find his LinkedIn account. So you know his expertise is in HR, you know. So it helps you to understand the demographics of your audience. Okay. So nowadays very powerful, social media very powerful. You can know a lot of things. The next thing, practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the better you present. One of the best presenters that I know, Steve Jobs, okay, he practices his presentation over and over and over again. He's a perfectionist actually. He's a perfectionist. So, and you look at his presentation, it's very technical, and he's on the spot. He will spend time when he's presenting the technology. For example, he's presenting the new iPhone. He'll describe about the technology, and they'll use on the spot the iPhone on the spot. So, but all this needs to be practiced so that there's no technical glitches that happen, because it's a live show. There's no turning back if there anything happens. So practice makes perfect. So if you look at this comparison, Steve Jobs, which practices all the time on his presentation, with a recent, I think last 2 years, when Elon Musk presented his new wild truck. It's a electric car, electric 4-wheel car, which was it's glass, supposed to be able to withstand a steel ball. So I guess he didn't practice enough. So when he take the steel ball and throw at the glass, it broke, it cracked. So meaning he did not test the technology earlier during the practice session mode. So that's why I say practice. You practice, the more you practice, it helps. Okay, so why practice is important? In most cases, experience is always the best ability for successful presentation or in any matter. The more experience you are doing something, the more better you are. Okay, so but sometimes experience comes in many ways. You can gain experience in many ways by directly doing the activity itself. For example, if the more you present, the more you do online presentation, the more you do public presentation, the more better you become. But the other way to gain such of a practice to gain such of a skill at a short period of time is actually practicing. Okay, so practice is actually a form of experiential learning. So meaning you are learning based on experience. Okay, so the more time you spend practicing, rehearsing your presentation, the better, the smoother you present. Okay, no doubt this is the key tip. Okay, my personal tip is practice at least 3 times the slide that you are presenting. Okay, it is also a mental preparation, because the more you practice, you will familiarize with your slides, meaning you even know what's in the slide without even looking at the slide. So if you practice enough, you don't even have to look at the slide, because when you click to the next slide, you know what's the content of that slide. This is the power of practicing as much as possible. Okay, you can self-practice or practice with colleagues. My suggestion, do both. Self-practice is for you to familiarize with what you're going to say. Practicing with your colleagues helps to actually they can tell you which words are suitable, which words are harder to pronounce. You may have alternative words which you can use in your presentation. So your friends, your colleagues are the people who can tell you, okay, this maybe you change the word paramount with important. You change the word, then people will say, okay, it's easier to understand. Okay. Now, after all your presentation, okay, this is probably one is also another 5 minutes of what we say the nervousness of the addressing the question and answer session. This is I believe this is one of the toughest session for everybody because you're uncertain. You're uncertain what people would ask. The uncertainty is compounded, is further exaggerated by the mindset that you worry that you are unable to answer the question. That one is the toughest, okay? That's the toughest, okay? But actually, you can prepare yourself. You can prepare yourself. You can anticipate certain questions based on your presentation, okay? So you know, okay, if you are presenting something about three shoes, or you're presenting something about motorcycle, they definitely will ask you, does a motorcycle need to have a lamp? Then you anticipate the answers, you anticipate the questions, and you can prepare the answers. But there are always also some situations where unexpected questions occur. Okay, so to actually address this kind of situation, at least first you can follow these tips. First, you ask for clarification. You can ask for clear clarification on the question itself. Maybe you missed out on the details of the question. So whenever you try to answer, if you missed out the detail, you may answer not in the way that people expected. Okay. You can also buy some time to think of the answer. Okay, you can talk. Okay, you can say, okay, I believe this is the, you give certain phrases to actually buy some time, and then by in the same time you try to answer. Okay. But if you really can't answer a question, you can be honest. It's not a right or wrong situation where you need to answer all the questions that is available, because if you are in a viva, this is presentation viva, the examiner would expect you to know certain things and uh, don't know certain things. So not knowing certain answers is okay, as long as you are able to answer the important questions first. The basic questions you must be able to answer. But if you have any ideas on the subject, you can just tell them, okay, I believe this is the situation we are having. We need to address this situation using this technique. Okay, you can tell them based on the ideas that you have. If you have yet to read up about that point, or you have never in your mind thought about that question, or that situation, or that point, you can acknowledge that you have never thought about that. So you thank the audience, you thank the person who asked that question, and you say, this is a good research angle for me to study in the future. Okay? The don'ts. This is one thing that we really need to have a look. Don't be defensive, even if the question is hostile. The hostility sometimes may be due to different interpretation. Okay, if you are of a different culture, for example, if you are from Malaysia, and you are in what we say a hall with Indians from India, like what we are having here, Indians from India, the way how they ask a question and how Malaysians ask a question is different. So there may probably be some misunderstanding in terms of hostility. Certain cultures, when they ask question, they are very straightforward, they are very direct. Certain question will be, certain cultures, they are a bit more mellowed down in terms of how they ask question. So different cultures have different way of, different people with different cultures have different way of asking questions. So, but remember, never be hostile, because they are the audience and you are there to share knowledge. If the hostility is present, then it does not help the situation. And most of the time, I don't think you should ask, did I answer that question? If the audience or the person who asked the question will sometimes add, they based on your answer, they ask another following questions. So meaning there is something to be addressed. If they never ask a following question, meaning they've understood the point, and then you just let it go. Okay. So you don't have to thank the questioner for the question, but it's okay also, it's not a problem. But certain cultures allow that to happen. Certain cultures not very fond of people thanking for the question. Okay. And never rate the question. You never rate this question is better than the previous question. That's not a nice way to actually address the questions that people ask. Okay. Now we go to the last point. When things go wrong. So these are some of the scenarios that may happen. It has happened before. For me, it has happened. It has happened. Okay. There are always unavoidable circumstances. Okay. There are always possibility of this type of things happening. So if you are new to it, then you may not know how to handle it. So now when you are in this talk, okay, you can see I'll give you some tips of how to handle this situation. For example, you have an issue with your PowerPoint presentation. Okay, maybe your thumb drive got corrupted, or there was a virus, and you never thought about this thing may happen. Always backup in a cloud service or an email, okay, in another thumb drive, phone, or your laptop. You can always have preemptive measures. This is the preemptive measures. Backup in cloud, email, thumb drive, phone, or laptop. Okay. And also, you actually can give your slide to somebody else. If there is an issue, that person you can always call your friend to email you, or send the slide to you. Okay. So what it means is that you always have a backup to a backup plan. Okay, so that's the solution. Okay, so never only save in one spot. Okay, of your slide presentation. Sometimes the cable is not working. Okay, you can preemptively bring your own cable, extra cable. You can bring a short one actually. It's not expensive. Okay, and most of the time nowadays you bring a HDMI cable. It's normally considered as a universal cable. Okay, you can use it in many projectors. Okay, available. But if the other solutions on the spot is actually you apologize to the audience, ask them to wait for a while, and call tech support. This is their job. They will help you with the station and address the technical issues. If your microphone not working, same. To ensure that your microphone is working, you test the microphone. I already gave tips to how to test the microphone. Similarly, you apologize to the audience, or solutions on the spot. You apologize to the audience and you call tech support, because tech support is there. Okay. Now this one actually, I observe a lot of people happen, especially for people who wear long pants, or the pants is a bit longer, or long skirt. While they are walking, they stumble on the stage. So that one is normally happen during when you are nervous. Okay, your walk, your every footsteps, your pace is not as usual. So you may stumble, and this has happened before. So remember, before you walk to the stage, calm yourself. Okay, calm yourself. So once you are calm, then you walk up to the stage. You can actually prevent this from happening. But if it happens, the same tip. You stand up, you calm yourself. If there's water, you drink a sip of water. Okay. Once you are calm, then you start your presentation. The audience will understand. Okay. So they are humans, you are humans. So they understand when you stumble. Okay, you can calm yourself. They understand that you need time to calm yourself. So once you are calm, you do your presentation. Okay. I have actually never experienced unruly audience. Okay? I've never experienced that. But there are instances that I watch in YouTube, especially in political talks, talks about politics. They are, audience that are unruly. So you can't do any preemptive measures for that. But you can try to calm them down. But if it does not work, you always can seek the conference organizers' assistance. They will able to, either calm the audience that is unruly, or they can use security or something to address the situation. Okay. Remember, there are always unavoidable circumstances or events that may happen anytime. Staying calm prevents things from escalating. It makes things better instead of worse. Okay. So I think for that is the end of my presentation. I'm actually a regular speaker for many talks. So these are some of the examples of talks that I give annually. So if you want to know more about me, just take your phone and you scan this QR code. And you will have directly a connection to my curriculum vitae CV. Okay. So UMK also, UMK, University Malaysia Kelantan, now is encouraging the staff to actually have visiting lecturer or visiting professorship in other universities. So I welcome anybody who wants to invite me over as a visiting scholar or visiting researcher or a scientist to your institution. A simple invitation letter will make do. If there is a need to fly, then if it's possible, then you can bond my flight, or we can do things online. I can give a lecture online. Okay, so my specialty is on my research focus is normally on small mammals. So you can see a lot of small mammals that I'm handling. This is a bamboo rat, this is a bat, this is a flying squirrel. I actually have a ongoing flying squirrel project with my Indian counterpart, Dr. Murali. He's from Amityville University, if not mistaken. And then we have this is a colugo, flying colugo. So also another small mammal. We have bats. This is a painted bat, Carivula picta. A very beautiful animal. Okay, this is also a tree shrew. Okay, so I have been regularly giving talks, so you can always invite me. I welcome any invitation. You can scan my QR code for my CV, and I will give a copy of the presentation to the organizer so that you can have a copy of the slide presentation. With this, I thank the audience. If you have any questions, you may ask. You may ask me. Okay, we can address the questions. I've heard there's already somebody. I actually saw Dr. Tanvir since yesterday raising his hand. So I'm not sure whether that's a question or something. Let me stop present first. Okay. So the organizer, we can actually open the floor for question and answer. Okay. If there's nobody, let me manage. Okay. Let's see. Who has question? Just now I saw 2 person raise their hand. If you have question, you can ask. If Dr. Tanvi, if you have a question, you can ask something. So if there is no question, I can I pass the floor back to the organizer, and okay, thank you. You can have the slide later. I will send the slides to the organizer. If there's nothing, I pass the floor to the organizer. Thank you.
It's time to moving on to the second resource person. A person from Anne Velankani College, Tamil Nadu. Formerly, he served as an HOD in many colleges and was a language trainer in Bangalore. and also published many papers in national and international conferences. We feel so delightful to invite Dr. C.A. Rajesh, Assistant Professor of English at St. Alfonso College of Arts and Science, to this scenario. Now it's over to you, sir.
Good evening to all gathered over here in this wonderful meeting. In this short-term course, I thank Lavender Retreat Club and Cap Common Club and the organizing committee for inviting me for the session and for the short-term course. I hope you would have seen me before in several meetings with Lavender Club. And today, as this is a short-term course, I don't like to waste my time a lot. I like to get into the topic that has been given to me. Before that, can I share the screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Can you, is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. And today I would like to go on interview skills. Actually, I hope you all are aware about interview skills and you are not the graduates. You are, sorry, you are not undergraduates, you are graduates, so you're research scholars, you're professors and so on. When I get into the particular point called interview, you all will have a doubt. You'll all have a clear-cut idea what is meant by an interview, because you will have faced a lot of interviews in your lifetime, and you would have been going through interviews too. And as my topic in this short-term course is interview skills, I would like to deal on an interview. First of all, we would look what is an interview. Look, interview is it's not with a job, but interview it's with life too, because it's a simplest meeting during an individual is asked to provide exchange information that will be used for a particular purpose within an organization. You know, when we work in an institution, we all work in an institution, or we are a part of an institution as a student or an employee or any such like that. We meet with people, we meet with individuals, we exchange ideas, we share informations on a particular purpose. When we come to a common thing, and it's unofficial, you know, get with your friends and all, that is not an interview. Actually, it's an official one. It's an official meeting. It's for a betterment of a particular organization or an institution or something like that, where we are. An interview is also a setup like that, where we get into a particular discussion. And when we get into this discussion, we have to be thorough. Actually, we have to have certain things, you know, we have to be ready. As Henry Ford said, before everything else, getting ready is the secret of success. You know, before we get into a certain task in our life, or when you get into, that means it's exactly coming to interview, you know, when we get into a certain task in an organization or in a particular part of a thing, you know, we have to get ourselves ready first of all. If you don't get ourselves ready, we can't get the key of success. Actually, we can't get the key of success, and we can't get into the door. First is making ourselves ready for it. You know, there is an saying in Bible, and saying in Bible stating like this: a horse is being prepared for the day of war, for the day of battle. Look, when a horse is prepared for a day of battle, you know exactly what we have to do. You know, when Shakespeare said, "All world is a stage. We are actor and actress." we come on stage based on our us. We perform and we go. And even people have said, philosophers and all people have said, life is a battle. We have to conquer it. To conquer it, when we say about this particular word called conquering, some say it's fate, some say it's luck, and some say more than that. But it's actually getting ready. When you go for Napoleon wanted to become a 4 feet man. He wanted to become a soldier. But look what happened. He was ready to be a soldier, but they neglected him. Did he live up that? That didn't happen anytime. That never happened. Why? Because he was ready with his work. He was ready to be a soldier. And later part, he succeeded to be a general of French army. That is what getting ready, preparing yourself for a battle. That speaks about success. And when we say on such things, the most important thing we say for success is self-confidence. And when we say about this self-confidence, the key word for it, the self-confidence, is preparation. It's said by Arthur Ashe, when we say about such things, what key word self-confidence and self-confidence preparation works. Why preparation works? That's what when we get into our studies, or when we go ahead in our life. Look, example, when we have a child in front of us, assume a child in front of us. Check the self-confidence of a child. It tries to stand. It's its confidence, but it falls down. Does it lives? No, it prepares. It practices. It goes on. It goes on until it stands straight. It goes on with its work. It continues its work. That's what an important key for success is self-confidence. But the important key to self-confidence is preparation. Self-confidence is never gained on a single day. Self-confidence is achieved only through preparation and practice. Preparation and practice makes a man perfect. Practice makes a man perfect. Beckham, we have to prepare and prepare. We have to prepare mentally. We have to mentally prepare. We have to physically prepare. We must focus on a particular thing. Focus is into that. In preparation we have three key parts. The first part, they call it a psychological preparation. The second part, we get into physical preparation. And the third, into right focus. When we get into psychological preparation, that is the biggest preparation, biggest preparation what we need, psychologically preparing. We could see something, before a mother giving birth to a child, the mother has to psychologically prepare for that. If the mother doesn't psychologically prepare for it, we'll have post delivery depression. Depression. After delivery, we have depression for women. That comes because they don't have psychologically, they are not prepared to give birth for a child. No, psychological preparation is the most important preparation in man's life. When it comes into the psychological preparation is in all parts of life. Psychological preparation is not an interview itself. Psychological preparation comes in all parts of life, from the child to the old age. Because I said before, life is a battle. We have to psychologically prepare. We don't know what is going to happen next. Our life is not predicted, but we can train to it. So psychological preparation, when our right language, two concepts comes this in psychological preparation or a right language. For that it is positive attitude and well prepared mentally. When we come to a positive attitude, this positive attitude speaks a lot. What is positive attitude? Do we have positive attitude in life? This is the main concept. Positive attitude. This we have a common error happening in the society, that this positive attitude is lacking behind. When a parent sees another child